What's good? It's your boy 2K here, man. I told y'all, man, Robert Easter Jr. pisses me the fuck off. You know, as I said in the prediction video, he was my 2014 prospect of the year, the same year that I had Naoya Inoue, my fighter of the year. And it's because of the way he was beating journeymen's bums, other prospects, etc. Within the 135-pound division. I really believe that he was going to be the Tommy Hearns / Paul Williams of 135. I mean, he's 5'11". His reach is 76.5 inches. That is dimensions that you don't see typically in the lower weight classes, right? He has a major advantage with those natural, characteristics, right? So I was like, yeah, and at that time he was fighting like that too. He was beating opponents like that. So I was like, man, this motherfucker is going to be a problem. You know what I mean? And he has been up until the Richard Commey fight, right? Now, granted, we talk about this shit all the time. A fighter, a prospect, a contender can look very good against F, D, C level opponents, B- level opponents, right? He can look real good against a motherfucker you go pick up from underneath the overpass that was just asking you for $10 and shit, right? He can look real good against that type of fighter. But when he gets in the ring with top level opposition, it becomes a question in which can his skills transfer over when facing an opponent of this type of skill set, right? When that fighter faces adversity, can he make the right adjustments? Those are questions for every single fighter we see at the prospect level, dominating at the prospect level. And when he got in the ring with Richard Commey, we saw two big things, right? Number one, he gives up his height and reach. Number two, he stays in the fucking pocket way too long to where he can end up getting caught, right? In that fight, Richard Commey was able to drop him. It was one of those type of knockdowns where his glove touched the canvas, I believe, right? And they scored it a knockdown, I believe, right? And that was because he stayed in the fucking pocket too long, right? Against Dennis Shafikov, same thing. Now, I told y'all in the prediction video, Robert Easter Jr. has no longer reminded me of a Tommy Hearns or a Paul Williams, but he is very similar to Rances Barthélemy now. Another tall, rangy motherfucker that has all the advantages in terms of height and reach, that likes to give his opponents opportunities on the inside because he fails to take advantage of his fucking God-given advantages, right? This shit makes me more mad than anything else in boxing. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, the Dennis Shafikov fight, I'm sitting there yelling at the screen, why the fuck are you sitting on the inside? Get your dumb ass on the outside. Against Richard Commey, get your dumb ass on the outside. Hell, against even a goddamn C-level fighter in Luis Cruz, get your dumb ass on the outside. And tonight, same situation, right? Javier Fortuna, a former champion at 130 pounds, right? The ESPN cover boy. You know what I'm saying? Seeing this guy fight so many times on ESPN is not even fucking funny, right? Gets in the ring with Jason Sosa, loses his belt in a fight that he was winning hands down. Loses his belt due to the fact that he couldn't keep up with his the pace that he dictated for himself. Got winded, took too many shots to the body, ended up getting knocked out, lost his belt, right? So he goes on a pretty good tear, wins 4 fights in a row since losing to Jason Sosa, and I believe 3 of those 4 opponents were undefeated guys, right? Not named opponents, but guys that were, you know, having a good career for themselves as prospects, right? Beats all those guys. And one of those guys was actually highly touted prospect at the time, Omar Douglas, who at this point in time is no longer highly touted. You know what I'm saying? But he's now in an opportunity where he can move up in weight and fight Robert Easter Jr., right? Now, he showed that he really didn't take training camp seriously, right? He talked about at the end of the fight where he didn't have enough time to train. And Robert Easter was like, yeah, that's bullshit, bro. Like, you knew about the fight before I did, and I had enough time to train. So how the fuck did you not have enough time to train, right? Which is something that I 100% agree with. Pretty much the only thing that I agree with that Robert Easter Jr. said in the post-fight, right? But he felt like he didn't have enough time to train. Ended up missing weight on the fucking scales, okay? Comes into the fight and still, what a lot of people believe, shit, a lot of cats within the movement believe, he beat Robert Easter Jr. Now, I had Robert Easter Jr. winning by 1 round. I had it 114-113, right? And that's literally because of the point deduction. And in that round, I thought fucking Javier Fortuna won that round. So if there was no point deduction, my scorecard would have been in favor of Javier Fortuna, right? But I had no problem with the second judge's scorecard, which was 114-113, I believe, for Javier Fortuna. I know he had won by a round, right? Now the last scorecard was like 115-112 for or 116-111. I don't remember what it was for Robert Easter Jr. But the fight was not that far apart, right? It was razor fucking thin. It was razor close, right? It should have either been either a 1 point for Easter or 1 point for Javier Fortuna. That's the type of fight this was, right? And I can actually accept 2 points for Javier Fortuna, right? So this is what Robert Easter Jr. allowed, even for a guy coming up in weight who didn't even take training camp seriously. He went life and death with that guy. Let me break this shit down real quick, and then we're gonna end the video. In the first round, Robert Easter started off, you know, sticking to what he said before this fight. If you watch the prediction video, I had my man Big Cool on from Colossal Boxing Talk, and he talked about how Robert Easter Jr. basically stated that he will stick to the outside, use his height and reach, dictate the pace behind his jab, right? All in a nutshell. And that's exactly what he was doing in the first round. You know what I'm saying? But the problem was, and the key problem, which was the big elephant in the room in this fight. If you know what you're watching, you would have noticed this as well. Javier Fortuna's movement was killing Robert Easter Jr., right? Robert Easter Jr. has never really displayed the type of footwork needed for a masterclass boxer, right? He has the dimensions to be a masterclass boxer. He has the jab. He has a nice jab, right? He can throw combinations from the outside. Has a nice jab, straight right hand, 1-2, beautiful, right? But he doesn't really have the footwork. Kind of plods, you know. Maybe that's all that time this motherfucker be hanging out with Adrian Broner. The nigga's starting to move like him. You know what I'm saying? But he doesn't have the footwork of a masterclass boxer, of a guy that we would like to see mimic the style of, right? And Javier Fortuna was moving all around this motherfucker, and he couldn't keep up with him. So then he turned into a guy that was applying high pressure and trying to cut the ring off. But the problem here is that he can't cut the ring off either, right? Even Robert Easter Jr. said that at the end of the fight. He said the guy moved around a lot. I had to go chase this guy. And that's exactly what happened. He couldn't really do the things that he needed to do from the outside because he couldn't keep up with his movement. Couldn't keep up with Fortuna's movement, right? Essentially, he turned him into a Gennady Golovkin type of fighter that doesn't fight Gennady Golovkin style. You know what I'm saying? That's what Robert Easter Jr. was looking like in there. Man, the movement was so bad that in the beginning of round 6, or it was in the beginning part of round 6, Robert Easter Jr. was trying to come in, and he tried to come in behind a straight right hand, and Javier Fortuna ducked it and turned him so quickly that Robert Easter Jr. almost ran into the fucking turnbuckle. You know what I'm saying? He turned the shit out this motherfucker. When I saw that, I was like, God damn, his movement is too much for this dude, right? Then later on in that round, Robert Easter Jr. gets him pinned up against the ropes, throws a straight right hand, lands it, but then squares himself up. And when he squared himself up, he dropped his hands and got hit with a straight left bomb right on the fucking chin. And it made Robert Easter Jr. back his ass up. When he got hit, this motherfucker was doing what Juvenile was telling the bitches do back in the early 2000s. You know what I'm saying? Backing that thing up. Oh shit, hold up, nigga. You know what I'm saying? All he had to do was just stick his ass out and start twerking. He would have did exactly what Juvenile said. Nigga was backing all the way the fuck up. Right? Now, if there was a little bit more time in that round, Javier Fortuna could have did some real good shit because Robert Easter Jr. was extremely hurt. He did not see that straight left hand coming, right? He timed that shit beautifully. But here's the problem. Right after that round, Javier Fortuna started to basically rely on trying to counter him literally for the duration of the fight. And that's when I started giving Robert Easter Jr. rounds because he finally started to realize after fucking 6 rounds that he needed to just, all he had to do was really just stay on the outside and pop the jab. Because if you watch those later rounds, those mid to late rounds, all Javier Fortuna was doing was waiting for Robert Easter Jr. to get a little bit closer. Just let him get a little bit fucking closer so I can land this motherfucking counter. And that's what he was trying to do. So he wasn't really throwing any punches. He was doing a lot of movement, but he wasn't throwing any punches, right? And Easter was doing exactly what I wanted him to fucking do for 12 rounds. Just pop the jab. Dude, you can literally beat this dude off a jab. Fuck what the crowd wants, right? They want to see blood and guts. You know what I'm saying? Niggas getting stabbed in the heart, chest, back, blood everywhere. You know what I mean? They want to see that. Fuck that. Get the goddamn win, nigga. Be the smart fighter and do what the fuck you supposed to do in the ring to get the goddamn win. You already got an advantage because you're the reigning champion, right? This was your 3rd title defense. To beat the, or to, for the opponent to become champion, he's got to beat the champion, right? So Javier Fortuna's got to be the guy dictating the pace. Well, if this motherfucker's only going to back up and wait for you to get close enough to counter, then stay your ass back and jab. Easy game plan, right? Easy fucking game plan, especially when you got the advantage of being the fucking reigning champion. Just stay on the outside and pop the jab, especially when you got a fucking 8.5-inch reach advantage. Damn, dog. What's wrong with these young niggas? Easy game plan. And he finally started doing it after round 6, with exception of round 1, right? So he started banking rounds. I started giving him rounds. But then, I believe it was like round 10 or round 11, he started trying to make it a phone booth ass fight. And it allowed Javier Fortuna to win possibly 3 of the last 4 rounds in the fight. Maybe possibly 2 of the last 3, right? I can't remember exactly what rounds I gave Fortuna, but I know I definitely gave Fortuna the 12th round. You know what I'm saying? And that's because Robert Easter Jr. abandoned his game plan, what actually got him back into the fight, because I had him losing the fight early. He abandoned the game plan that got him back into the fight and went back to the reason why he started fucking losing the fight in the beginning of the fight, dog. Come on. Are you kidding me? Get the fuck out of here. So he goes in there, makes it a phone booth type of fight. Well, Javier Fortuna is able to do what he always wanted. Counter him on the inside, tee off on the inside, and he started winning the last couple of rounds, which made this a very razor-thin, close fight. Hence why I don't have any problems with Fortuna taking this decision for the guys that had him winning, right? What ultimately helped Easter in those rounds that I gave him, I think Fortuna started to gas a little bit due to his movement. And this is the same problem, like I said earlier in the video, he had against Jason Sosa. He sets a pace for himself that his stamina and endurance can't keep up with, right? And that ultimately allowed Robert Easter Jr. to stay on the outside and pick him off in those rounds I gave him. Because he limited his offensive attack to just, shit, I need to stand back here and try to counter. I need to get my motherfucking second win. And I think that's what he did for at least 3 or 4 rounds. And then finally, in the championship rounds, he got his second win back. And that's when he was able to take those rounds, also with the help of Robert Easter Jr. getting back into the pocket, right? Man, Robert Easter Jr. has become one of my favorite prospects to one of the dumbest fighters in boxing. It's just real talk. You know what I'm saying? I told y'all, man, this channel is non-biased. I don't give a fuck who you are, right? I can support you. I can support you to the fullest. But if you fucking up, man, I would not hesitate to get on that ass. No motherfucking homo. And y'all just saw how I got on Rigo's ass, right? Rigo caught some bumps. Just like my man Shep was gonna give Kylie Watson. He caught some bunks from me. Now I'm about to give motherfucking Robert Easter Jr. some bunks. Fuck out of here, nigga. Use your goddamn height and reach. You know what? Real talk. Pop's gotta go. Robert Easter Sr. is Robert Easter Jr.'s trainer. He's gotta go. He took him as far as he could. My man Big Cool posed an excellent question in the prediction video we had. He said, yo, if Robert Easter Jr. shows that, you know, he still can't use the advantages that he has in the ring, does he need a new trainer? And I said, you know what? We will see at the end of this fight. Well, my motherfucking answer is absolutely yes, without a doubt. He needs a new fucking trainer, dog. And it's no question about it. He needs a new trainer. Daddy took him as far as he could, man. You know, he needs to go to a trainer that can properly tap into his potential, because this guy is really good. He's a good fighter, and he's got all the advantages at 135, man. I really believe that if he fights the way he should fight, he can beat guys like Jorge Linares, right? He can give guys like Mikey Garcia a tough fight. But if he fights this fucking way, he might get knocked the fuck out by Mikey Garcia, right? Jorge Linares speed jabs this motherfucker to death. Jabs him to death and moves out the way. Throws crisp combinations, 6-punch combinations, and moves out the way, right? Because Robert Easter Jr. will give him opportunities. So as soon as you give Jorge Linares an opportunity, he's going to hit your ass with about 16 shots before your motherfucking ass can react. That's how fast this dude is. And by the way, not only is he fast, but he's got power in both hands. So a guy like Jorge Linares will beat the shit out of Robert Easter Jr. The Robert Easter Jr. that showed up tonight. The Robert Easter Jr. that showed up against Dennis Shafikov. The Robert Easter Jr. that showed up against Luis Cruz. Right? He beats that guy. But the Robert Easter Jr. that needs to be the one that everybody is fucking begging this nigga to beat, those guys have trouble against that one. So he's got to get rid of Dad, man. But I don't think he will. And that's ultimately going to be his downfall. At the end of the day, I think Robert Easter Jr. should wait for whoever takes the recently vacated WBO belt by Terry punk-ass Flanagan, who went up to 140 because Frank Warren has him in his witness protection program. Went up to 140 to go fight a cat from my neck of the woods that really nobody respects that much, and Maurice Hooker for the 140-pound WBO title. That title's vacant at 135 now. You got Felix Verdejo, who was supposed to fight Terry Flanagan for that belt. But Terry Flanagan had a phantom leg injury that nobody to this day knows what the fuck actually happened. But we know, like I said, it was Frank Warren's witness protection program that caused the phantom leg injury. And thus, he, before the WBO can actually investigate, he vacates the title, moves 140, right? Anyway, you got Felix Verdejo, who's getting ready to fight in March. And I think at the end of this year, Bob Arum will put him in a position to get that WBO title. And then, of course, the #1 contender there is Raimundo Beltran. I think Robert Easter Jr. could beat both of those guys. Beltran is a very good fighter. Another B-level fighter in the division that applies a lot of pressure, can give anybody problems, right? The Manny Pacquiao's consistent sparring partner during Manny Pacquiao's questionable rise through 16 divisions. You know what I'm saying? Raimundo Beltran has the same kind of style as Denis Shafikov. If he doesn't knock Robert Easter Jr. out, I think it'll be the same situation in that fight. It'll be that kind of fight, but Robert Easter Jr. will still act the decision out, right? And then I just think he beats Felix Verdejo, a guy who's really doesn't have his mind on boxing. From what I understand, he's out there in Puerto Rico fucking bitches and getting a whole lot of pussy and getting pissy drunk like Adrian Broner does in the States. He's doing that more than training. That's what a lot of my Puerto Rican niggas, my Boricuas, are telling me. You know what I'm saying? So with that type of mindset, he goes in the ring against the better fighters of the division, and he gets knocked the fuck out, or he gets beat the fuck up for 12 rounds, totally exposed, right? I think Robert Easter Jr. should wait for those guys, especially if he's not going to get rid of Pops. If he's trying to fight Mikey Garcia and Jorge Linares, like he said at the end of this fight, he told them cats, I'm trying to unify 135. I don't want to give Javier Fortuna a rematch because this fight does nothing for me. And basically, he didn't say it, but what he was trying to say was, you know, you put me in a line of fire against a nigga that doesn't do nothing for me because he don't have a belt, right? So he wants to unify. I think he should try to step back on that, work on his game to try to be able to hone his motherfucking advantages so he could be that unstoppable nigga at 135, then try to get these fights. But the problem is, he ain't gonna be able to do that in one training camp. He's got to go through a couple of training camps to be able to do that, then go through a couple of fights, then he could possibly do that. So as long as Mikey Garcia is trying to get Sergey limp nuts at 140, let that nigga go do that. As long as Jorge Linares is trying to play the UK circuit, fighting motherfuckers like Anthony Crolla twice and Luke Campbell, now he's fighting Mercito Jesta, let him do that. That's a blessing for you, nigga. That way, you can go over there and chill in the cut and fight motherfuckers nobody cares about while honing your skills. That's what you should do, right? If he can't wait for the WBO champion, whoever becomes the title holder, it's going to be a Bob Arum fighter. Whoever becomes the title holder at 135 for the WBO, and Bob Arum doesn't allow that fight, well then there you go, man. You got more opportunities to fight nothing but bum-ass whack niggas at 135 and hone your motherfucking skills. That's ultimately what I think he should do, man. As for Javier Fortuna, he fought an excellent fight. I don't think you're going to get the rematch, dog. That's the only reason why I see you hanging around at 135. He didn't make weight. I don't... Maybe he can go to 140. He looked good in this fight at 135. Maybe he can go to 140. I'm not sure. But if he sticks around, hangs around at 135, he can give some of those B-level guys a good fight, possibly get himself back in title contention against one of the other guys. But I still think Jorge Linares and Mikey Garcia knock his ass out or beat the shit out of him, either one, right? So it is what it is. Robert Easter Jr., man, you need to go back to the drawing board, work on your shit, dog. Real talk. YouTube, do what you do in the comment section. Would be real. Let me know what you think about Robert Easter Jr. This is Real Talk for real fans. 1.